like they're getting Trevor Lawrence back. How much does that boost them to have a quarterback that's got his kind of experience back in the lineup?
Yeah, we're excited to go against whoever lines up at quarterback for them. This week really isn't about the Jags. It's all about the Texans. So whoever goes out there really has no bearing on what we're doing. We're just trying to go out and execute, play our brand of football, play the best that we can play. That's it.
DeMeco, you have talked to us many times about showing your players these mistakes that have happened. How are they receiving that message, and what indication do you have that they're taking it to heart and things can begin to change?
Our guys have, attacked this week the right way. They've attacked with the right mindset. Just being out on the practice field today, guys are dialed in, locked in on what we're doing. Like, they're flying around, the energy is up. So I'm happy to see just the way we came out to practice today. It's a great indicator of us having a really good week.
Over the last few weeks, you and Bobby both have said that you've made some changes. Like Bobby last week, I think, said something effective. Trust me, like, changes have been made. If you could, what are some of the changes that you guys have made over the last couple of weeks that you kind of hope to see, or that would change something?
Yeah, most of that is internal, and for us, it's just, for us to go out and execute. That's what everybody needs to see. Like, we'll make the proper adjustments and things that we need to make, and it just has to show up on Sunday.
While CJ's tenure here, you guys have invested a lot around him. How do you feel you guys have done in that department of building a good team around CJ?
Yeah, we have a really good team. I don't know where the narrative is going or what it is. We're a really good team when we play well and when we finish, we're a good team. So we have the guys that we need to go out and win games. Yeah, we miss some guys. That's all NFL teams. You're going to miss some guys here or there due to injury and those things. But you keep rolling. You keep battling each and every week, and that's what our guys have done.
How difficult do you think it is for opposing quarterbacks to deal with the pass rushing duo of Anderson and Hunter when you have them both in there?
Our rushing duo is really they raise havoc. So I think it is really hard on opposing quarterbacks, and we see that in how teams try to protect versus us with the chips and trying to slow our guys down. So that just shows how much respect that they have when the coordinators are preparing. They have to make sure they block the edges and keep the edges blocked, and our guys are still doing a great job of finding a way to get pressure on the quarterback and get him down.
The physical aspect of execution is one thing. The mental side, how do you guard against this snowballing mentally and just having this mental thought that we can't do this when it may not be the case?
Yeah, for our mindset, it's once you line up, you have to first and foremost believe in yourself and believe in why you're in the NFL as a player. Like, you have to have that confidence that you can go out and make any play possible. Like, that's why you're here. You're one of the best in the world at playing football. So you just operate that way, not with a high confidence or a sense of pride about yourself. You do it in a humble way. You just go out and execute to the best of your ability, but you have to have some confidence. You have to have some swagger every time you step onto the field, and our guys have that confidence and swagger about them.
Trying to get your team back on the track and winning games, is there any situations in your past, whether as a coach or a player, that you've leaned on to kind of help inform how you've gone about approaching it with your team?
No, everything for me is just organic with our team, and I have a good pulse of our team and where we are and what we need, and I make sure I lead in that manner.
As far as what you need, is there any extra importance in getting out of this current funk, heading into the bye? Is there any extra importance on this game?
It's important. It's our next game. I don't know how you put extra importance on any game. Every game is important. It doesn't change. Every time I step in front of our team, every game is important. It doesn't change just, because we lost now it's more important. Well, when we win, they're just as important as well. Every game matters, and you want to, of course, win as many as you possibly can by going out and playing the game the right way.
I asked that because you said with Mark and John the other day that this Titans one stung a little bit more, and usually you move on and it stung a little bit more. Why did that one sting a little bit more than maybe previous ones?
Yeah, that game for me, our game last week was, as I talked about for a couple of days now, that it's the mistakes that we made. Everything was about us, and that's solely on us and the mistakes that we made is why we didn't win that game.
Phelan ever went down, that the defense might have to play a little bit different just because of his unique skill set. Do you kind of agree with that sentiment that Phelan's, a unique player and it's not about like replacing him, but playing to your player's strengths?
Yeah, Jalen is a very unique player. Jalen did a lot for us defensively, and again, we'll deploy our guys however we need to put them out there. So it doesn't change everything that we'll do. But you missed the dynamic playmaking ability that Jalen had because he was just such an impactful player.
What are some of the things you want to see on Sunday from your team that you can take into the bye week?
For me, I just want to see everything is about Sunday, right? And what I want to see our guys do is just go out and play clean football, eliminate the negative plays that are self-inflicted. And if we do that, that's all I want to see. That gives us a chance to truly compete and see where we are. Too many times in games that haven't gone our way, it's been solely because of us and things that we can control. So my message to our guys is just strictly intensely focus on the things that you can control. And when we do that and we get out of our own way, then we can fully focus on the opponent and focus on beating the opponent as opposed to beating ourselves.
Every team has the holiday this week. How do you balance letting the guys have the time with their family that you want, but also, kind of give them advice? Don't eat too much. Make sure that you're not sluggish on Friday, ready for Sunday, all that kind of stuff. The routine.
For us, I told our guys it's really no holiday for us. It's a normal week for us. Of course, we'll give them time to eat, not too much, as Aaron says, but we'll give them that time with their families. But our focus is on the game, right? And that's where it has to be. And that's, if you focus too much on the holiday and Thanksgiving, then that sets you back and you're not prepared and ready to go on Sunday.
Being able to, hang on a second. Talking about being able to balance, I'm just saying, you had a few. Being able to, how do you balance the, being positive, moving forward, with also the accountability that you as a head coach, we may not see, that you have to have? How do you balance that? What's that like?
Yeah, that's just my nature. That's who I am. That's part of the job. And I balance it just by making sure every day is a new day for me. And I attack it with a positive mindset, positive outlook, making sure our guys are encouraged and upbeat with everything that we do. A lot of times when you lose a game or something doesn't go your way, you would think that the sky is falling, and everything is just doom and gloom because you lost a game. And everybody has the answers on what you should be doing or what changes you need to make. And that's what we do. I mean, in the NFL, you're going to lose some games. Of course, you don't want to lose. It happens. But that doesn't just zap all of our energy and zap, what we're truly made of and who we are as men, as people. We bounce back. It's another day, and it's a blessing to see another day. It's a blessing to get to do what we do for a living, right? And we have a positive outlook on everything. Every single week we have a positive outlook on that. And whatever we need to do, we got to be the best team on Sunday, and that's about executing on Sunday.
When you talk about those negative plays, is there a theme amongst those negative plays? Is maybe it's focus, or it's this situation that we end up getting those negative plays in, or is it just a hodgepodge of different ones that pop up because of a certain reason?
Yeah, negative plays happen. I mean, you talk about technique, you talk about poor eye discipline, you talk about poor decision making with penalties. A lot of maybe it's a lack of focus in certain situations, a lot of different things and different people that make different mistakes, and that doesn't change, right? In football, that's what it is. Guys make mistakes all the time. Nobody's perfect, and I make sure our guys know nobody's going to be perfect, right? But it's all about just making progress in the things you can control, like your eye discipline, like decision making. You can control those things. So you control those things, then that sets you up and puts you in position to make a play and to help the team make a play. But when your eyes are off or you're not listening, you missed a call, you missed a check, those are things that are unacceptable for me.
In the nickel role, he's had some success with you. What does he bring when attempting to potentially fill in for Petrie in that role?
Yeah, Jimmy has played a lot of spots for us. Jimmy is a versatile player. He's played in the back end. He can play all over the back end. So we'll see, where Jimmy lines up on Sunday. And he's been a good playmaker for us, and wherever he lines up, it'll be dynamic, and he'll make some plays. He flies around. He has a swarming mentality. So wherever we put him, that's what he'll do. All right. Thank you, guys. Happy Thanksgiving.
To execute the offense and run the plays that you want to run when you're getting the kind of penetration, especially in the middle, it's pretty immediate with guys like Sweat and Simmons, who obviously are tough guys to block.
Yeah, you referenced in the last game, I assume. Yeah, I mean, really, I thought our protection was pretty good until the fourth quarter. I thought we did what we wanted to do in the pass game. We needed to run the ball better early on. And eventually you play, it's really a front four. Like all four of their guys are really good. That's why they're in second and third downs and number one in pass defense. Like they have a very good rush, and we're aware of that. We have a lot of different protection things we had built into the plan, but eventually, like when those guys get one-on-ones and you have to throw enough, good players are going to be good players. So it's something you're very aware of as a whole offense, not just as guys up front. And I thought we did a good job of handling that through the course of the first three quarters, from the O-line to the quarterback understanding where he had to get to and when we had to get the ball out. And then by the time we got to the fourth quarter, eventually it just caught up to us, especially at those last three plays.
What do you think will be the key to getting Mixon back on track this week?
Yeah, he's really – we've only had 2 games, I think, where he's played and hasn't got 100 yards, that being Detroit and this last one. And those, I would say, were probably the 2 games us as an offense would look at ourselves and say we did our worst job in the run game, starting with me and, the schemes we were doing and what we were trying to get done, and then how we executed them. Like this last game, just far too often we weren't blocking linebackers. Nobody's going to be able to run the ball well when we consistently have free linebackers. So that's it. Really just starts from there. I know head coaches reference it. It's the same message all the way through the team. Like right now we're hyper focused on doing our job to the best of our ability to the smallest detail, and that's what has shown up when we've had issues.
It's been, last year you all were piecing together an offensive line for much of the season, but you all found a way. Why do you think it's been more difficult despite the consistency up until, Kenyon getting hurt?
Yeah, I'm pretty positive our offense is better right now. Like I think outside of some abnormal second half situations, like everyone talks about all the bad. Like we do some incredibly special things for really half to 3/4 of the game. We're like 4th in points in the first half, and I don't even think we're good in the red zone in the first half. So there's a whole lot out there still. Like we do some really good stuff, and we have an immense amount of penalties that last year we weren't, I would say, as undisciplined in that regard, like just being willing at times to understand when I have to let up. And we've had a whole lot of errors that we've continued to try to clean up and has led to a lot of inconsistency. And last year we had some of that, but not as much, I would say, would be the one difference. But beyond that, like I think all of us in the room, when we get together in our offensive room, there's a lot of belief that what we're doing right now and where we're going, like we'll be fine.
Like in the interior, I know you all had like a lot of changes there. Starting Kenyon and then having Juice at center after he had played left guard. But why do you feel like there has been a little bit of inconsistency there?
Yeah, I would say there's been inconsistency across the whole offense. I don't believe I said anything about the interior guys. It's really just everywhere across the offense we got a fatal error somewhere along the way at a critical spot. And I think a lot of times it's easy to see the guys up front. That's the easiest place to see where something falls apart or breaks down. But there's some run plays where our track's off. There's some run plays where, we're not necessarily blocking the edge player like we're supposed to, whether it's a tight end or receiver position. There's some protections that look like issues where, a route needs to be different or the ball should be out. So there's a lot of different things when you got 11 guys on the field trying to execute a play at the same time. I would say as far as the interior three goes, it's the same message as the whole offense. Like, we just have to do our job more often to the smallest detail.
After the game, C.J. Stroud was tough on himself, and especially for a couple of the interceptions, and so he's not playing to his standard. How do you look at C.J.'s season and context, and also some of the picks that they're uncharacteristic of him?
I laugh because I know CJ is probably going to say it's not to his standard if it's not like a Hall of Fame year. Like, he just has incredible expectations for himself. We all do. And that's, I talked about it before, like, that's why we love him, because he absolutely will carry the burden of whatever he needs to carry to get a win. And sometimes even, where like too much, where it needs to back off a little bit. Like, CJ's doing a really good job. He's growing. Like, I know the games have gone certain ways in certain moments that, maybe it doesn't seem that way, but the stuff he's doing on the practice field for multiple weeks now, some of the plays he's making in the games, really, if he could take, I wouldn't even say two, if there was like one play he could take back from last game. Other than that, he played pretty spot on, and that's all you could ask for from your leader. He's going to challenge himself to be better all the time. We got to be better around him. I got to do a better job with some of the play calls for him. But what he's doing on the practice field these last few weeks is it's a matter of time. It's going to show.
You mentioned the first half success you guys have had.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see a change in the way that teams approach you or play you in the second half that have led to some of the second half issues?
I wish I did. Like, I really wish I did. It's more. We've been talking about this for the whole season. I feel like at this point we've tried all kinds of different things. We will continue trying a lot of different approaches in a lot of different areas until something fits. But at the end of the day, what happened in the second half was we had an immense amount of penalties. We were bad on third down, and we couldn't run the ball. And it doesn't matter if you play second half, first half, you play at noon or you play at 7 p.m. like that. That's going to be bad football. And that's really what it is when you go back and you look at it. Every second half hasn't been bad. The ones that have been bad, we played bad football, and they've been doing really what we expect them to do. And that where I think early on kind of led to frustration that I'm sure everybody felt from just us as an offense. And now it's really like we're into December football mode, and we know what we've been doing in practice. We know what we've been doing in the meeting rooms. We know where we feel like we're going and how close we are at any given moment. How close we were to even just winning that game if you take a penalty away. So, we're right now, it's just a matter of we have a lot of belief in each other, and we're excited to play December football and showcase that to everybody.
How necessary is this bye week for the offense right now? Just not only physically, just mentally to maybe regroup?
Yeah, our mindset right now is everything we got on Jacksonville, as you guys can imagine. It's we use the phrase "empty the tank." Like, give it all you got. Because after this, it's literally a one-game season, and we can think about the rest later. And that's kind of where all of us are. I would say I haven't even realized it till someone told me this week that we've really been going from the Hall of Fame game to now, which is probably the longest stretch I've gone through a season without anything like that. But I really it just honestly, it seems so far out there, it's hard to even get there yet, so we got to do everything we can to get a W on Sunday.
Last three, Kim, Landry, sorry.
Hey, Bobby, I know we ask this all the time, but one of the things you said the other day is the penalties, right? That's the thing you look at. What happens in the second half or when things go off the rail? What do you do as a coach to try to impact the penalties to make the change? I know you guys are trying to figure it out all season, but how do you handle that?
Yeah, I think there's multiple ways. It starts with just everybody being accountable. I know we had a 3rd and 6 in the second half that we get a pre-snap penalty on, move back to 3rd and 11. We get another pre-snap penalty. We move back to 3rd and 16. Like, we only have so many ops at 3rd and 16 we're going to convert. And I think on that one we actually had a chance. We just didn't make the play. But you can only overcome yourself so many times. And we've been through this story so much this year. Everyone understands the repercussions. Like, everyone's extremely accountable in our room and understanding, like, what they can and can't do and how it affects everyone around them and how important that is. But also, when you strain so hard, as everyone knows, like, as you strain so hard, you got to learn sometimes when's the right time. Like, when do I have to stop? Or when do I have to make sure that, man, I got some cue or I got some word where I got to chill out for a second on some of this pre-snap. So, like, there's a lot of different things that go into that. We've talked about a lot of them as coaches. I know they've talked about it a lot, probably more than we have as players, because we know it's not who we are. Like, it's not, and we don't do it in practice. And the fact that it shows up in games is something that we got to continue to work through. And really, we've had multiple games back to back. It has not been an issue for a while, and it reared its head at home, which probably the most frustrating part is we're at home, and that should be to our advantage.
I think y'all have one touchdown on offense the last 6 weeks in the second half, and you've used the word abnormal, and you've said that's not who we are. With that large of a sample size, what makes you so confident that it's not who you are and it's abnormal?
The tape. I mean, just when you watch the film, you could see how close, just like the first half when we make plays, the second half we haven't been making plays. I know our quarterback's history is that he's an extremely, extremely efficient and good 2-minute quarterback, and that's not going to go anywhere. And I mean, how close we are really throughout the season on a lot of these plays in the second half is we're right there. And you don't just change because all of a sudden he blows a whistle at halftime and we go in the locker room for 2 minutes and come out and now we're completely different people. Like we believe in the process, and the process here is very sound, and our players believe in the process. And like I said, like we can see it. It's been different the last 3-4 weeks, and eventually it's just the nature of sports that's going to manifest itself on the field.
Bobby, coming into this season, we asked you about the bar that was set for CJ Stroud. We know he has his personal goals that he wants to reach, but the team comes first. When you're watching the way that he's been playing this year, do you think that he feels like, or maybe that the bar may have been set too high, his expectations goes from the coaching staff? How are you all helping him to mature into that second year and grow into that second year quarterback without him, trying to duplicate what he did the year prior?
Is he playing worse this year?
No, I don't want to say he's playing worse, but there are some throws that he normally makes. There are some reads that he normally makes that he hasn't been, and it's been showing up just like we've all been talking about in the second half as well, with some of the interceptions, with some of the balls that go into the dirt, some of the the overthrows, the underthrows. So it's showing up sometimes when we get a chance to watch it, but we don't watch the tape like you do. So that's what I was asking.
Yeah, I would say I think that's like there's a lot in the question, but I would say specific to the expectations, like CJ is no one in the world is gonna have higher expectations for CJ than himself, and then probably right below that is his family. And then probably right below that is us as coaches, and he is fervent in his desire to be coached and be coached hard and be as good as he can possibly be, and embraces that to the nth degree. I would say, as far as like specifically this year, I think I got nothing but good things to say about CJ. Like, I think early on, he and us all together worked through some things really through the first 4 weeks or so. And then he was able to retie to really what he did excellently last year, and now it's been nothing but growth since then. Now there's been some interceptions, there's been some mistakes. People might not know it, but there were mistakes last year. Some of them hurt us, some of them they didn't, But what he's doing right now and how he's growing as a quarterback and where he's at and how he sees the offense, how he operates, and still some of the stuff he does off schedule. Like all you're trying to really do at that point when he's as good as he is is you need to build consistency. And he's on his way to doing exactly that. And there's probably a lot of things that people from the outside see and think is on him, and it's not. And there's some other things that he's going to continue to try to strain and improve upon, But I think every week for him, particularly the latter half of the year, like he's been taking step after step after step after step. Like I said, what he's doing on the practice field these recent weeks is a matter of time before it shows on game day. Thanks, everybody.
think it will take to get the offense going for the whole 4 quarters the way you guys want to?
Just continue, focus. I think that's the main thing. Just focus every play in and out, and just not hang your head down after one bad play. Learning to just move on from it and continue to just trusting yourself, trusting everybody around you. I think that's what we can do to have 4 quarters of good offense.
You mentioned accountability right now is super important for you guys. We all know the best teams are the player-led teams. Where do you feel like the accountability is on this team and calling guys out honestly and properly, though?
Yeah, we handle that internally. We've been doing that since week 1. Every week, win or loss, it's accountability needs to be had. So it's been all around. Everybody's looked themselves in the mirror. So I thought we've done a good job of that. So now it's just time to go every week trying to improve and get better.
CJ, it seems like since we've known you or since you've been here, you've been really hard on yourself. Do you ever think maybe I shouldn't be quite so hard on myself sometimes?
Maybe, I don't know. I like it, I believe that, that helps me, get better, and just have a sense of urgency. I try not to be a careless person and try to, because I know a lot of people depend on me, on the field, off the field. So I gotta, definitely, be smarter. So, I don't think I try to, have some grace on myself, but also at the same time have that sense of urgency to know that I have to play better and get better for us to start winning more games.
When you talk to your mom, is she super hard on you, or does she, when you're being hard on yourself, does she kind of say, calm down, you did some good things, or does she kind of put perspective in what's going on in your life?
No, she definitely is like a mediator and tells me things that I probably need to hear. I try to listen to her more than I can. And, she does a good job of telling me just smell my flowers, and everything is not as bad as it seems, or it's not as good as it seems. So she's very honest with me and does a great job of building me up when I need it.
What do you see from Jacksonville going into this week that, as you look at their defense challenges?
Yeah, of course, Josh and Trey do a great job on the edge, and then Devin and 23 do a good job at backer, and that's kind of, the front 7 do a really good job, and then Cisco is leading the DBs, and, they got number 3 back, and he's a good player, so I don't think the record speaks to the team they are. It's another great challenge defensively for us, and, they've played against a lot of good teams and held them to a lot of less points, so, they played Minnesota very well, played Philly very well, so we got to come with our A game, knowing that every game, it takes every single play from the start to the finish to get a W.
CJ, on Sunday, you took a lot of accountability after the game, even going and saying, it's no secret that I haven't played my best football. I went back to last year and compared the first 12 games of your rookie season to the first 12 games of this year. Your numbers are pretty on par. I mean, you had completed only 15 passes more last year than now. Completion percentage, 64.3 last year, 64.1 this year. So everything's really pretty much the same. So what do you put more weight on as far as the stats, what the numbers say, or what comes off to the naked eye?
I'm going off of film. That's what the eye in the sky doesn't lie. And question right back to you: would you want to stay the same year to year? Right, same with me. You know what I mean? I just want to be better. I want to continue to grow, and I think I have grown in areas this year. And there's things that are out of my control that I can't handle, but there are also a lot of things that are in my control. So I try to do those things as best as I can. But yeah, year to year, I want to see myself grow. I don't want to see myself stagnant and just it's like a waterfall. If a waterfall is stagnant, it molds up, it gets dirty. When it's flowing and it's getting better, everything is clear. You got things coming to the water now, and fish are eating. So that's what I see is everybody around me getting better. So I just want to continue to get better, and I think I'll be able to do that this year.
CJ, what do you do to reset yourself? How do you get away from football to reset to come back to for the next week?
Yeah, it's not been easy. I think we have the latest bye, so we haven't had any time to kind of breathe. But I mean, that's the NFL, it's our job. So, this week we really got to come back with another week of just hard work, a lot of just grinding, because we're right around the corner from our bye, and I think that'd be a good thing for all of this team. And but we're not focused on that right now. We got to focus on Jacksonville and getting a dub, and then we'll get the rest after that.
Bobby mentioned you guys are close to a lot of the second half stuff. It's a play here, it's a mistake here, a penalty here, and he says, when we look at the film, we can see how close we are to making this work in the second half. You seeing some of the same things, and how do you kind of help dial in those things?
Yeah, I see the same things. We got some of the best teams in the league, hanging on to the second half, and then we just have, like Bobby's saying, a play there, or a drive here, or a turnover there, or whatever the case may be. we clean those things up, you know, we can really win more games. And I think our record honestly doesn't. I mean, it's not a bad record, but it's not a good record either, in my opinion, for the type of team we have. But we're at where we're at, and you know the rest of our future is ahead of us. So it's a lot of things to look forward to. But I think you know what our record says is the team we are. I think you know a lot of teams around the league know that too. But we know that ultimately inside that you know our team can be a lot better, and you know we can play with anybody, you know, and we got to just learn to not you know play down our competition and play to win and dominate every single play. And I think the more we can do that, you know, the better we'll be.
There's a video of you and Will walking off the field after the game together. How important has he been for you and your growth this season?
He's been huge, you know. He's been amazing. You know, he's been able to not only just help me in football, but, you know, in our walk with the Lord. And that's been very big. And also, you know, just we go through a lot of the similar things, you know, being the youngest in our family, a lot of people depending on us, you know, a lot of that weight. So we've been able to talk to each other about those things as well, you know. So there's a lot of just brotherhood with me and him, and I have a lot of love for him and just really appreciative of, you know, him building me up and then also being honest with me.
Along the lines of being uncharacteristic and the mistakes, what would you say is Houston Texans football?
Smash mouth, swarm mentality. You can go on and on. I mean, explosive. And I think we've aced a lot of those things, but it's the in-between, you know, when they do play whatever coverage and it's not there, just taking the check down or I'm talking for myself. And, you know, just the little fundamentals of the game, I think, is where we can get better at.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.